Something that Donald Trump tends to do from time to time is criticize major cities in America, typically Democratic cities. This time, we have him going after the city of Detroit from my home state of Michigan. So this is from the AP. Trump insults Detroit while campaigning in the city. Great way to win Michigan, by the way, buddy. So former President Trump criticized Detroit while delivering remarks to an economic group there on Thursday, that's today, saying the whole country would end up like the city if his Democratic opponent, Harris, is elected. Quote, "The whole country will be like, you want to know the truth? It'll be like Detroit," the nominee said. "Our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president." Classic. And, you know, it's just perfectly divisive. It totally suits him well. There's not much more you can say. Remember when he did this about Milwaukee, too? He was like, we're having the RNC in Milwaukee. By the way, it's a horrible city. It was revealed that he said that behind closed doors. Like, he just loves trashing these cities. And, like, cities in the Midwest, too, that he'll probably need to win. Want to win them back. The traditional blue wall states that went for him in 2016 but went for Biden in 2020. So, yeah, his strategy is a little strange, but it could work, unfortunately. Trump's remarks came as he addressed the Detroit Economic Club in a speech appealing to the auto industry, a key segment of the population in battleground Michigan's largest city. But he made conflicting remarks about Detroit throughout the speech, saying it was a, quote, developing city, in an apparent compliment. So that's not necessarily a compliment. That's saying it's developing. So that's like in contrast to being a developed city. So it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of like a third world area. Like you're in a third world country when you're in Detroit. So I don't really think that's a compliment. Democrats in the state were quick to criticize Trump for his comments. Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan lauded the city's recent drop in crime and growing population. Quote, "Lots of cities should be like Detroit, and we did it all without Trump's help," he said on social media. U.S. Representative Sri Thanadar, who represents Detroit. By the way, that guy ran for governor in 2018 of Michigan, and he did surprisingly well, even though his campaign wasn't very good. He said on social media that Trump should keep Detroit and our people out of your mouth, referring to Trump's efforts to win Michigan. Attorney General Dana Nessel said on X, quote, "This guy is calling us ugly and then asking us out on a date." Yeah, that's kind of what he's doing. You know, it would make more sense if he said this about a blue city in a blue state that Trump could never in a million years dream of winning, somewhere in California. And we know that Republicans often trash San Francisco, New York City. There's a lot of fear-mongering about crime there, just dunking on those places. But Trump is like, no, I'm going to go to these swing states, which I'm effectively asking out on a date, and then I'm going to tell them that they're butt ugly and that I would never date them, but I want to date them. Please go on a date with me, Michigan. That's something. Governor Gretchen Whitmer, that woman from Michigan, who has been a major surrogate for the Democratic presidential ticket, shot back at Trump, saying on X, quote, "And you better believe Detroiters won't forget this in November." Well, they won't. I mean, Detroit is typically Democratic. It's other areas of Michigan that are more red. So it's totally possible that Trump wins Michigan, even if he trashes Detroit and they show up and vote against him in even higher numbers. So that's just the unfortunate reality of it. As stupid as this strategy may seem, it might not harm his chances in Michigan much. Harris, speaking to a reporter in Las Vegas, praised her current location as a great city and then added, quote, "By contrast, my opponent Donald Trump yet again has trashed another great American city when he was in Detroit, which is just a further piece of evidence on a very long list of why he is unfit to be president of the United States. Wayne County, which is home to Detroit, hasn't been kind to Trump in previous elections. In 2016 and 2020, Trump got about 30% of the vote in Wayne, losing the county by huge margins." So yeah, that's just what I said. Yeah, Detroit already doesn't really like Trump, so I don't know how much damage he's really doing by going out and calling them ugly and then asking them on a date. Trump's campaign said in a statement after his appearance that Detroit has, quote, suffered from globalist policies championed by Kamala Harris that have led to manufacturing moving overseas. Globalism, really? That is like their new boogeyman. And broadly speaking, I get what they mean. They'd probably talk about like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, but other than that, I don't think they could name much specifics. Like the Trump campaign isn't really about specific policies, if you couldn't tell. They're kind of adverse to that. They're kind of just running on vibes and hoping that people will just be mad about immigration and crime and vote for him. It is what it is. Quote, as President Trump emphasized in his speech, his policies will usher in a new era of economic success and stability for Detroit, helping the city reach its fullest potential, said Victoria LaCivita, Trump's Michigan communications director. Trump's comments came as many in the city feel that Detroit has turned the corner from national joke to national attraction. Nearly a decade from exiting its embarrassing bankruptcy, the Motor City has stabilized its finances, improved city services, stanched the population losses that saw more than 1 million people leave since the 1950s, and made inroads in cleaning up blight across its 139 square miles. Detroit is now a destination for conventions and meetings. Some event attendees understood Trump's Detroit comment to be in reference to the city's previous financial woes. I don't think it's just finances that he's talking about. I think there's something else going on there. I think it's part of his general rambling about crime. I'm surprised he didn't throw, quote, illegal aliens in there, throw them under the bus for Detroit. But yeah, kind of weird. Quote, I don't think it was intentional on his part, said Judy Menk, 68. There was blight, now tremendous work has been done, and Detroiters will probably feel a bit hurt by that. Yeah. This isn't the first time Trump has insulted the city he's campaigning in. While in New York for his civil fraud and criminal trials, he routinely bashed the city, calling it dirty and crime-ridden, and arguing that its overwhelmingly Democratic residents might be swayed to vote for him over concerns about migrants and safety. So yeah, there he is. And that's what I said. So yeah, he is trashing a blue city and a blue state in a pretty stereotypical way. You know, of course, going after the crime, the immigration, what else is new? But yeah, what do you think about Donald Trump's chances to win Michigan? I talked about a poll recently that showed that Kamala Harris had some good chances in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. But lately, I think Trump may be clawing back on some of Harris's gains. It's a really close election, as I said, and although Harris seems to be the favorite, it's definitely foreseeable that Trump could win one of the swing states that he lost in 2020. So do you think he's going to win Michigan? Or do you think that these types of comments about Detroit will lead to some serious backlash, that Detroiters will feel upset and he'll lose Wayne County by even more than he did in 2020 and get his butt handed to him in Michigan? Do you think that'll happen? I don't know. I feel like Michigan's really tight right now. Same with Pennsylvania. And this whole election might just hinge on Pennsylvania too. Michigan is obviously crucial, but I keep hearing, Pennsylvania, that's where it's at. So yeah. But yeah, obviously not necessarily wise for him to go over and dunk on Detroit while campaigning in Michigan. Compare it to the third world. And he does that about the U.S. in general. He says that we're like a third world country. That he said that in 2016 to kind of bolster his Make America Great Again theory. But yeah, it's just how he functions. Reagan was morning in America. Trump is midnight in America. Reagan talked about everything being good. Trump talks about everything being bad. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. As always, if you liked this video, found it helpful, insightful, or enjoyable, leave a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get a lot more election content out there for this 2024 election. This is going to be the longest month ever, October 2024. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I look forward to speaking to you in the next video.